She is a person that's told many stories that weren't true. She's very big into raising taxes. She wants to slash funds for our military at a level that nobody can even believe. She is against fracking. She's against petroleum products. I mean, how do you do that and go into Pennsylvania or Ohio or Oklahoma or the great state of Texas? She's against fracking. Fracking's a big deal. She's in favor of socialized medicine, where you're going to lose your doctors, you're going to lose your plans. She wants to take your health care plans away from 180 million Americans. 180 million Americans that are very happy with their health insurance, and she wants to take that away. So she was my number one pick. I mean, she was, as they would say, because hopefully you'll start college football, she was my number one draft pick. And we'll see how she works out. She did very, very poorly in the primaries, as you know. She was expected to do well, and she ended up at right around 2% and spent a lot of money. She had a lot of things happening, and so I was a little surprised that he picked her. I've been watching her for a long time, and I was a little surprised. She was extraordinarily nasty to Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh then, now Justice Kavanaugh. She was nasty to a level that was just a horrible thing, the way she treated now Justice Kavanaugh. And I won't forget that soon. So she did very poorly in the primaries, and now she's chosen. So let's see how that all works out.
Your thoughts on what the president had to say about Senator Harris? He doesn't sound too worried, although when we're talking to our sources close to the Trump campaign, there are some real concerns about Senator Harris and what she brings to this ticket.
And we've heard from President Trump, right, in the past, expressing, if not outright admiration, at least sort of respect for Kamala Harris's political abilities. He recently was saying that she would be a fine choice. At the time of her rollout, when she entered the presidential contest in January of 2019, he acknowledged being impressed with her rollout. He thought she had done that quite well. But I do think, listening to the president just now, Jim, the framing that he's clearly and his team are clearly looking to sort of build around Kamala Harris, a slasher of funds for the military. She has lots of things she'll have to explain, a tax raiser. And then here, this notion, he uses the word nasty when he talks about women especially, but this notion that she was nasty to Joe Biden on the debate stage, and that he thought, the president was saying, that he would not have picked her because of how nasty she was to Joe Biden, that he was surprised Joe Biden would pick someone like that. I think the Biden folks are eager to have that contrast. They want to draw and say that's exactly the difference between Trump and Biden. Biden is somebody who can take a punch on a debate stage from a competitor and turn that around and understand that they can fight for common cause to defeat Donald Trump, whereas President Trump seems to think that that would be disqualifying. I think the president there just laid out sort of a character contrast that the Biden folks are eager to embrace, Jim.
And the other thing I thought was interesting, David, is that he defended his vice president, Mike Pence. There was no indication there that President Trump is thinking about dumping Mike Pence from the ticket, even though there's been speculation arising time and again that may happen. I've talked to Trump campaign sources, talked to Jason Miller over the weekend, who denied that was going to take place, the Trump campaign advisor. But David, I will tell you, I talked to a Trump campaign advisor not too long ago, who, earlier this afternoon after the Kamala Harris news was announced, who said that, it is believed by some close to the Trump campaign that this Biden-Harris ticket is going to be tougher than Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine. What do you think of the challenge that Kamala Harris poses for the Trump campaign being a part of this ticket now? Yeah,
I mean, I think that's an astute observation of your source saying that. I think Joe Biden has already shown that he is going to be far tougher competition for Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton was. And that's due to one big thing. That's due to the president's handling the coronavirus pandemic, which at the end of the day, Jim, and we're going to talk a lot about Kamala Harris and what her past statements and her record are and sort of what she adds to this ticket or what potential challenges. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a race between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. People tend not to vote for the person who's in the number 2 slot on the ticket. But I think looking at where the state of this race is today, the Trump folks are right to think that they are facing stiffer competition than perhaps they faced in 2016. We're in a whole different kind of political environment.
Very different environment, David, and we've got an outstanding panel of experts and analysts here. I want to go to Van Jones to get his reaction to what the president just had to say a few moments ago. I thought it was notable, Van, that the president took a swipe at Elizabeth Warren, used the term Pocahontas again, which is obviously a racially offensive term, and is using that kind of racially offensive language on the same day that Joe Biden is making history and selecting an African-American woman to be on his ticket.
There's some real irony there. You see the president, he's circling her in the ring. He's trying out his combinations. Nothing that he said landed, and nothing that he said is going to make a difference. I'm going to say this. Ella Jo Baker is happy up in heaven right now. Shirley Chisholm is happy. Barbara Jordan is happy. Fannie Lou Hamer. Kamala Harris inherits an incredible legacy of African-American women who have stood up for the best in this country, who stood up to bullies and insults, who have had enough pride and self-respect to maintain their dignity and not to back down. She is the last in a very long line of people who right now are rejoicing in heaven that an African-American woman with her dignity, with her poise, with her strength, with her toughness, has endured this gauntlet and is now will be standing next to the next president of the United States. And that cannot be erased by any of this little stuff you just saw the president trying to do. They don't have a way to hit her hard. You just saw it. Right now, they don't have a way to hit her hard. They were trying out little trial balloons. You would expect them to have been ready because people have been saying it's been her for about a week. This is going to be a formidable ticket because you do have a reason now for people to get excited. You got a reason now for people to get back out here and make some history and to try to bring this country back together. I think that what I'm seeing in social media, certainly people have some concerns about some of her criminal justice stuff. That is completely being overwhelmed by people's excitement about Kamala Harris being added to this ticket.
And Malika Henderson, as you know, African-American women have been described as one of the pillars of the Democratic Party. We heard that time and again during the Democratic primaries. Picking up on what Van Jones just had to say, this is tricky territory for President Trump, is it not, in that he has so often employed racially incendiary language throughout his political career, and now Kamala Harris is standing there on this ticket for 2020.
Racially incendiary language as well as sexist language. If you think about what he just said, he was really fixated on Kamala Harris being nasty. She's so mean. He often uses that kind of language to refer to women. One of the things that was noteworthy to me, I could only hear it in my ear. I couldn't actually see the video. President Trump sounded kind of lazy and like his heart wasn't really in it, almost like he'd just gotten up from a nap. And I think you're going to be able to contrast Kamala Harris's vibrance in energy, smarts, obviously, too, with not only Donald Trump, but also Mike Pence. So listen, I think they're going to throw the kitchen sink at Kamala Harris at this ticket. It'll be laced with racism and sexism in the way that we have come to see this president and understand this president over the last many years. And we'll see if it works. I mean, I have said before, racism and sexism, very powerful forces in this country. Racism might be the most powerful force in this country ever. And so it's still a big risk. It's still a big bet that you see Joe Biden making, that this country is in a place where they feel comfortable elevating a Black woman, an Indian American woman, to the second highest office of the land. We'll see. Again, obviously, Kamala Harris has navigated racism and sexism her entire life and won in California over and over again. So if you want somebody who's navigated that kind of gauntlet successfully, she is certainly the pick. But the forces of racism and sexism still very powerful, and we shouldn't ignore that. And the bold choice that Joe Biden made in picking Kamala Harris, and you can see the sort of energy, surprise, surprise and in many ways sort of relief. It's about time from a lot of people. Van was talking about online, and certainly I think all around the country, women of color saying they have toiled in the fields, both literally in this country and then in the fields of the Democratic Party, right, for decades, in pushing this party over the top, whether you think about Joe Biden's candidacy or Barack Obama's candidacy or any number of senators and governors across the country. So it's finally time that a woman of color get this chance, and certainly her hard work over this last many years in California and her rate of success, has brought her to this moment.